The lights are going out across Main Street America, and this time they aren't coming back on. We have officially entered what insiders are calling Ghost Week, a catastrophic 7-day window where over 1,500 retail locations across the United States have simultaneously shuttered their doors forever. From the boarded-up windows of iconic Macy's locations to the empty aisles of CVS and Walgreens, the American retail landscape has been turned into a graveyard in a matter of hours. This isn't just a business restructuring or a seasonal shift. This is a coordinated economic retreat. As of 9 a.m. this morning, the retail sector has faced such a violent sell-off that the NYSE was forced to trigger a market halt to prevent a total industrial collapse. The physical backbone of our economy has just snapped, and if you're still waiting for a recovery, you are standing in the middle of a haunted house. But the empty stores are only the visible part of the carnage. We have received intelligence regarding a leaked internal memo from a top-tier bankruptcy law firm in New York. This memo, which the White House is reportedly trying to classify as a national security risk, outlines a secret list of 6 more too-big-to-fail retailers that are scheduled to file for emergency liquidation within the next 72 hours. This is the Phase 2 of Ghost Week. In the next few minutes, I'm going to reveal the names on that list and show you why the market halt today was actually a desperate attempt to prevent a mass panic that would lead to a total bank run. But before we get to the names, you must understand the invisible debt wall that made this collapse inevitable. They knew the shelves would go empty. The billionaire CEOs and the architects of the Federal Reserve have been orchestrating this retail apocalypse for years. While they were telling you that the consumer is strong, they were quietly offloading their commercial real estate portfolios onto unsuspecting pension funds and retail investors. They encouraged you to shop online, to use digital credit, and to abandon the physical economy. Why? Because a physical store is a sign of local sovereignty, and they want you entirely dependent on their centralized digital grid. They are the ones with the private bunkers and the physical gold. You are the one left in a neighborhood with no pharmacies, no groceries, and no cash access. They broke the system on purpose to force you into the Great Reset. The math behind Ghost Week is as cold as the empty freezer aisles in a shuttered Walmart. We are currently hitting a $1.5 trillion commercial real estate debt wall. Over the last 4 years, thousands of retail leases were signed at near zero interest rates. Today, as those loans come due for renewal, the interest rates have tripled, while foot traffic has plummeted. It is a mathematical impossibility for these stores to survive. We are seeing a 400% spike in commercial defaults in just the last 30 days. This isn't a recession. It's a controlled demolition of the physical American marketplace. When the stores stop paying rent, the regional banks that hold those mortgages become insolvent. Ghost Week is the sound of the banking system's foundation cracking under the weight of unpayable debt. What happens to a community when 500 stores vanish in a single week? You get what sociologists call retail deserts. Entire zip codes in states like Illinois, California, and New York are waking up to find that they no longer have access to basic medications or fresh food within a 10-mile radius. This creates a psychological state of emergency. When people can't buy bread or medicine in their own town, they stop trusting the currency. This is the devaluation of the American lifestyle. The market halt today was triggered because the retail stock indices hit a limit-down threshold, reflecting the reality that these companies are no longer viable in a high-inflation, high-debt environment. There is a direct, hidden link between the store closures and the skyrocketing price of physical silver. As retailers go bankrupt, the banks that are short silver are losing their commercial real estate collateral. They are being hit with margin calls that they cannot meet. To raise cash, they are desperately trying to smash the price of silver on paper. But the physical demand is too high. The people who are watching their local malls turn into ghost towns are the same people who are cleaning out the local coin shops. They realize that a closed sign on a store means the open sign on hyperinflation has just been flipped. The banks are trapped in a vice between empty buildings and empty silver vaults. Expect to see a surge in technical errors across the banking apps of major lenders this week. Every time a major retailer announces a total liquidation, the banks experience a glitch that prevents you from moving your money. This is a digital quarantine. They want your capital trapped in their failing system so they can use it for a bail-in to save the too-big-to-fail institutions. Ghost Week is the distraction. The bank freeze is the goal. They are using the chaos of the retail collapse to camouflage the fact that the fractional reserve system has officially run out of physical cash. Even the Pentagon is tracking Ghost Week. Why? Because the American retail supply chain is the backbone of national logistics. When 1,500 major distribution hubs and retail outlets shut down, the ability to move goods across the country in an emergency is compromised. We are seeing reports of National Guard units being put on standby in certain high closure zones to prevent civil unrest. This is a national security crisis disguised as an economic downturn. If the people can't buy and the stores can't sell, the social contract is effectively void. If you own a home near one of these ghost malls, your net worth just took a massive hit. Commercial real estate is the anchor for residential property values. When a major mall goes dark, the surrounding property values typically drop by 20 to 30% within 6 months. This is the final smash on the American middle class. Your home was your last bastion of wealth, and now the elites are destroying the surrounding infrastructure to make sure you have nowhere to go but into their rental-based digital economy. You will own nothing and be happy isn't a slogan. It's the operating manual for Ghost Week. Jerome Powell and the Federal Reserve have an emergency kill switch ready for the moment the market halt fails to stop the bleeding. If the retail indices don't recover by Friday, expect a national financial emergency declaration. This will allow the Fed to take direct control of the banking grid and implement a bank holiday. During this holiday, they will reset the value of your digital dollars against a new central bank digital currency, CBDC. The store closures are the proof of failure they need to justify the transition to a total surveillance currency. They are burning down the old world to make you beg for the new one. Follow the actions of the whales. The CEOs of the world's largest retail chains have sold a record $4.5 billion in stock over the last 90 days. They knew Ghost Week was coming because they were the ones who scheduled the closures. They are moving their wealth into physical gold, farmland, and high-security survival compounds. They aren't reinvesting in America, they are liquidating America. If the captains of industry are jumping off the ship, why are you still standing on the deck? The smart money has already exited the digital grid. As the official stores close, a shadow economy is emerging. In cities like Chicago and San Francisco, we are already seeing swap meets, where people are trading physical goods, silver coins, fuel, and long-term food, because the local Walgreens is boarded up. This is the return of the barter economy. The official price on Amazon doesn't matter if the delivery truck never comes because the local hub is closed. In Ghost Week, possession is 10/10 of the law. If you don't have it in your house, you don't own it. The Great Depression featured breadlines and shuttered shops, but it was a slow burn. Ghost Week 2026 is a high-speed digital collapse. In the 1930s, people had time to adapt. Today, the supply chain is so just in time that a week of closures can lead to empty shelves for a month. We are repeating the mistakes of the past on a much larger scale. In 1930, the debt was manageable. Today, it is an unpayable $36 trillion anchor. The market halt is the modern-day version of the bank holiday of 1933, and the outcome will be the same, a total reset of your wealth. While retail stores are closing, the tech giants are desperately buying up the remaining silver supply to power their AI servers and solar arrays. They are outbidding the coinage and jewelry markets, driving the physical price to levels that the comics cannot report. They need the silver to build a digital future, where they control everything. They are literally taking the silver out of the monetary system to put it into the surveillance system. Every store that closes is one less place where you can use your dollars, making their digital control even more absolute. Ghost Week also signals a terminal crisis for Social Security. The payroll taxes from these 1,500 stores and their 40,000 plus employees just vanished. This is a massive blow to the Social Security Trust Fund, which is already on life support. If the tax revenue stops, the checks stop, or they are printed into worthlessness. The seniors of America are the primary targets of this economic warfare. They are being told to stay calm while the very stores they rely on for their medications are being welded shut. It is a silent default on the American elderly. We aren't just looking at ghost stores. We are looking at the birth of ghost cities. When the retail core of a city dies, the tax base evaporates. Policing stops, maintenance stops, and the city becomes a high-risk zone. This is the controlled demolition of the American urban center. They want the population to flee the cities and move into 15-minute smart cities, where the CBDC is the only legal tender. Ghost Week is the opening act of the Great Relocation. They are making the old world uninhabitable to force you into the new one. The FDIC tells you your deposits are safe, but they don't mention that a systemic retail and commercial real estate crash would bankrupt their insurance fund in 24 hours. The FDIC is designed for one or two banks failing, not the entire commercial foundation of the country. In a Ghost Week scenario, the FDIC will be forced to issue IOUs or stock in failing banks instead of your cash. Your insured account is just another digital entry in a system that has fundamentally run out of trust and physical collateral. You're in the final 48-hour window of the Ghost Week phase. The market halt today was the first siren. Once the major retailers officially announce their Chapter 11 liquidations on Friday, the panic will go national. You have a very narrow window to secure enough physical silver, cash, and essential supplies before the national security protocols are activated. This isn't a drill, it's a paradigm shift. The bear has made its move, the malls are dark, and the dollar is a souvenir of a world that no longer exists. You cannot hide from the physics of $36 trillion in debt meeting a zero liquidity retail market. The market halt is the universe telling you that the era of paper lies is over. Align your personal balance sheet with the rising powers of the future. Physical resources, sound money, and self-sufficiency, rather than the dying debt traps of the past. The East is building gold-backed systems. The West is building ghost malls. Choose your side before the grid goes permanent. Secure your sovereignty today. Move your wealth into assets that the government cannot freeze and the central banks cannot print. If you hold the debt of the West, you will share in its collapse. If you hold the assets of reality, you will survive the transition. The Great Reset is here, and it's not going to be soft. Subscribe for the next emergency update, because in this economy, being 24 hours late means being broke. Ghost Week is just the beginning. Protect yourself now.